and I'm honored to introduce our speaker today, Professor Neta Kligler-Vilenchik of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem in Israel. Neta is a leading scholar of communication with expertise on political expression in the current changing media environment. She was selected as a fellow of the prestigious Center for Advanced Studies in Behavioral Sciences at Stanford University, CASPAS, and she's published influential research in top journals and book presses in the field. Neta's talk today will focus on her new book published by Oxford University Press titled Not Your Parents' Politics, Understanding Young People's Political Expression on Social Media, which is co-authored with Joanna Liderat from Teachers College, Columbia University.
And so we suggest that social media today are a key space where young people engage not only in self-expression in general around their lives, their hobbies, their musical interests, and so on, but also around their politics. And in that sense, social media are also a window into young people as political actors, into understanding some of their political and social concerns, what they care about, how they feel about different issues. However, seeing social media as a place for young people's political representation is not clear-cut, or it's not direct, because it requires listening to the political voices of young people in a way that is contrary to a lot of our expectations. So we have to listen to their voice, not based on our expectations of what political expression maybe should look like or usually does look like, but rather in their own preferred modes of expression. So citizenship models are basically expectations of who is a good citizen, how is a good citizen supposed to behave. I think the most dominant citizenship model that many of us will be familiar with is the idea of informed citizen, which is the idea that to be a good citizen, you have to know what's going on in politics, you have to be up to date on current events. And this is often sort of described as what we would want, what we want to achieve, or maybe as also the good citizenship of the past. But again, we somewhat need to temper our expectations, or to be realistic. And realistically, we know that informed citizenship is more of an aspiration than a description of reality, right? Not just for young people, for all citizens. Deli Carpini and Keeter already showed in '96 that most people are not necessarily informed citizens. We identify that the kind of political expression we observe reflects an emergent citizenship model, so one that sort of comes from describing and seeing, according to which, first of all, publicly expressing your views around current events, including on social media, is seen as a form of political participation in and of itself.
So my question is, your book suggested that the political expression on social media is one of the most important ways that most young people participate in politics. But I wonder if your research indicates that more traditional forms of participation are also still relevant.
Part of this is a methodological question, right? So because our methodology is content analysis, qualitative content analysis of social media content, we haven't spoken to the participants themselves, so we don't know exactly what other things they do. We see some indications within our materials also of other forms of participation. So, for example, in the Black Lives Matter chapter, looking at hashtag for Breonna Taylor, people share about how, for example, they called political representatives to demand justice for Breonna. Or we see in the Musically chapter, we see people posting from protests that they went to and sort of posting it with, my first protest. So we see some indications for that. But really, where we talk more about the connections to traditional forms of participation is in the discussion chapter. And as I said there, we talk about how also building, of course, on other empirical quantitative also research that helps us make the basis for these claims, we can say that political expression, again, counter to maybe slacktivism concerns and so on, and social media panics, actually goes hand in hand with other forms of participation.